Imagine this, what you crave is a rear-wheel drive luxury sedan, but what you can afford is an i20 N-Line. What if I told you you could get this, a 2014 F30 BMW 320d Sportline for the same price as an i20 N-Line, and with the help of this buyer's guide, your bank account is not going to be crying in a corner after you have stripped it naked. Let's check it out. While the newer generation BMWs got quite carried away by the times and fashion, the F30 did so well in terms of design that I personally feel like BMW hit the spot when they designed the F30, because it is beautifully timeless. Proportions check, them curves, I mean, the body line nice and crisp. Even in today's day and age, you don't feel like it is such an old car, and that is very high praise. Talking about age, the inside could feel a little old. Let's get in before a drive, talk about the inside, and then see what it's like. Now, if you're used to a newer car, then yes, you might be missing a couple of bells and whistles like Apple CarPlay and a massive screen or a digital instrument cluster, but the BMW F30 320d is still a very nice place to be in. You have a sportier seat, since this is the Sportline variant. It gets red stitching, a red stripe on the dashboard, and it also still gets a chunky steering wheel. You don't get paddle shifters, but you can still retrofit it like many other things that you can retrofit into the interior. Do you want a bigger screen from the LCI? You can do that. You can retrofit Apple CarPlay, and I can't believe I'm doing this, but I'm calling this a retro analog screen. It's now quite an occasion to look at the dials go up and down, and I think that that is actually nicer than a digital screen. What do you think? Let us know down in the comments below. But before we set for a drive, I forgot to mention about the heart of the beast, the N47 D20. 184 bhp, 380 Newton meters of torque from a 2-liter common rail diesel engine. The N47 is one of BMW's biggest unsung hero engines, because the previous generations were absolute trash, to say the least, very unreliable. But this generation, the one that came to India, chumma. There's quite a lot of gossip to fill you in, so let me talk all about it while on the drive. Let's go. Now, when I say riddled in controversy, I mean the previous generations of the N47, because the generation of N47 that came to India is rock solid. Before 2011, a lot of people were complaining about timing chain issues, EGR failures, and intake swirl flap issues, which, yes, would create quite a lot of problems to owners. But the F30 320d that came to India got a newer generation N47, and it is a very robust engine. And when it comes to tuning, the robustness really shows.
The N47 does have some decent potential when it comes to performance mods. A stage 1 remap should bump the power figures to just above 200 horses and just over 400 Newton meters of torque, and going stage 2 is also an option. With an EGR delete, a downpipe and an air filter, you could be pushing 240 horses and close to 500 Newton meters of torque. Darkside Developments in the UK have even created a turbo kit for the N47 that makes 276 bhp and 625 Newton meters of torque with their map. But before you go out searching for your next 320d project car, keep in mind, the N47 isn't cheap to run or build. Parts and mods are on the expensive side, and the further you go down the rabbit hole, your risk of breaking the car and your bank account increase exponentially.
I, for one, love the F30 generation of cars because this chassis is so friendly, so useful, and just so neutral. The weight distribution is really nice. So depending on however you are as a driver, if you're a smooth driver that just likes to take grippy lines, or if you are a driver that likes to kick the tail back out, this car is so neutral that you are always in control when you're driving hard, and that is always something that's going to be enjoyable by any kind of driver. Get onto the driver's seat, push the car and have a smile on your face. The F30 always brings that. And when it comes to the engine, the N47 is actually a really peppy engine. It's got quite a lot of grunt throughout the rev range, making it pretty linear, but the bottom end has that diesel torque feel, so you don't really need to shift it down in order to overtake. The top end also revs rather freely for a diesel, making it feel like a very petrol-like engine, and that adds to that involvement. That being said, you still can get into a lot of trouble if you buy yourself the wrong F30 320D. So let's talk about what you should look out for if you're in the market for one of these.
All things said and done, there are a couple of things that I would recommend you to pay a little extra attention to while checking out your prospective new Beamer. Get as much info about the service history of the car as possible. If it has a service record from BMW, nothing better. But even if it doesn't, make sure it has been maintained at least a reputable garage. The last thing you want is a fancy car that's been negligently maintained. Next, thoroughly inspect the car for damage. Accidental luxury cars are a dime a dozen. If there is any sign of accidental damage, better to look away. A BMW can't deliver that sheer driving pleasure with a bent chassis. And last but not the least, if it is a high mileage car, which most probably it will be, check the condition of the brakes and suspension. Check if the car is running at least OEM spec brakes and struts, if not something better. It is an expensive affair to get them fixed, so find one with recently replaced suspension and brakes, or just keep that expense in mind while budgeting your purchase.
So all in all, the 320D is a pretty special package. You get a reliable engine, a very nice interior, space enough for your family, and driving dynamics that is capable to put a smile in your face. And your bank account is still happy because it's a diesel engine, so it's still pretty frugal. So there you go guys, a buyer's guide on the F30 320D. A very versatile car. Fun, luxurious, practical, timeless, frugal, pretty much anything you want it to be. And now at the price of something that is as good as a family hatch. So would I buy it over anything in the first-hand market? Well, yes. And the news gets even better. This specific car is up for sale on TDH Classifieds. If you want any of the details, you can go on to thedrivershub.com/TDH Classifieds and basically get in contact with us in a single click. Thank you so much for watching. Do let us know your thoughts on the 320D. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.